Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rappler Talk. I'm Pia Renada. We have an interesting topic today all about surveys. Alam natin how important surveys are during this time where we are, watching elections and getting ready for May 9. And interesting to know that there are many, many methods by which different companies measure public sentiment. And we want to talk about one of those methods. It's a new method, mobile phone surveys used specifically for measuring public sentiment about elections and candidates. Joining me today is Martin Peñaflor. He is the CEO of Tangere, and Tangere is a market research firm which uses its app to measure or to conduct surveys in real time and across a lot of respondents. So thank you so much for joining us, Martin.
Magandang hapon, Ms. Pia. Thank you for having me here and having Tangere here. Salamat po.
Okay. So Martin, no, first things first, kasi when you say mobile phone surveys, no, like it's very different from when you say face-to-face surveys, but still a lot of people baka hindi pa nila masyadong hindi ba concrete sa kanilang utak yung what do you mean when you say a mobile phone survey. So can you just siguro walk us through what a mobile phone survey is and how Tangere conducts its mobile phone survey specifically for elections?
Salamat for that question, Ms. Pia. Kami sa Tangere, we have this proprietary tool. It's live in the Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple App Store. We have more than 600,000 active users nationwide. This is called in the industry as a CAPI. This is called P as a CAPI, Computer-Aided Personal Interviewing Tool. So yung CAPI namin, it's the app, but there are also other copies available. Ginagamit din yan ng other research firms and even government institutions. For their own research, they use copies as well. Ang difference namin is we have this built-in panel. As I mentioned, 600,000 active users nationwide. The biggest one, I'm proud to say that's the biggest in the entire Philippines. Sila yung regular na sumasagot ng survey namin. And every time we have surveys, whether it will be commission surveys from our clients from the private sectors, because we are helping a lot of SMEs with their market research requirements. So, for example, we have a survey on, let's say, moms in Visayas, 10 to 12 years old. Sila lang yung makakita po ng survey namin and sila yung sasagot ng survey namin. It's also the same thing that we do in our political surveys, Ms. Pia, wherein we do, in terms of our methodology, kasi this is really different from yung mga Facebook na like mo to, pupusuan mo, and so on. So kami, we have this methodology. It's in statistics, it's called stratified random sampling. So in layman's term, quota-based sampling po yan. When we say quota-based sampling, Ms. Pia, so what we do here is we need to make sure that may quota kami for the entire demographics. So that will be for let's say, for example, dapat 12% lang NCR. For Mindanao, Northern Luzon, and Central Luzon, the biggest areas in the Philippines, 23% yan. 22% Southern Luzon and Bicol region, 20% Visayas. We also have quotas for age group based on the PSA, OPSEN 2021, and we have quotas based on the socioeconomic class. So yan po yung mga sinasabi nila na A, B, C1, C2, D, E1, E2. So that's how we do our surveys. So once we reach a quota, for example, for a certain demographic, titigil na po yan. So it's no longer visible to them, only for the demographics lang na kailangan naming habulin. So that's what we do.
Okay. So klaruhin lang natin yung 600,000 sinasabi mo. Martin isn't saying that all their surveys are answered by 600,000 people. It's more of you have a pool of 600,000 who have the app in their phones. You send out a survey targeted to specific people, and only, like, let's say, I think in your last survey na political na nakita ko sa slide ng Isko Moreno team, parang you have a survey, it's usually mga 1,200 people or 2,400 people. It's just hindi siya
Right.
600,000, right? Like, who answer each and every survey.
Yeah, that's right, Ms. Pia. Hindi naman lahat sumasagot regularly ng survey namin. So when we always target na, for example, for this study, let's say yung sinabi niyo po, we did a survey pre-COMELEC noong March 31, pre-COMELEC interview debate. And then we did another follow-up survey on April 4 to 6, 2,400 respondents yun. So yung team namin, yung research team namin, Ms. Pia, they're the one who sets the target sample size based on predefined margin of errors and yung tinatawag po na confidence level.
Okay. So, ito na yung question for mobile phone service because I asked naman Ana Tubunda of Pulse Asia, and we all know that Pulse Asia does face-to-face surveys and so does SWS. And I asked her, should we trust mobile phone surveys? And sabi niya, yung pinaka-problem daw sa mobile phone surveys is inaccurate daw in determining kung totoo bang, for example, class A yung sumagot or class DE. How would you respond to that concern of mobile phone surveys? How do you make sure that the person you think is class A who answered the survey, tama yung class na sinasabi niya? Because that's important, right? To determine
That's
how
right.
reflective the results are. Okay.
That's a really valid concern, Miss Pia. So, how we determine first kung una kailangan muna naming malaman kung tunay na tao 'yan. So, paano ba kami
Mm,
naka-build ng community? Shoutout po pala nanonood sila lahat ngayon. Paano po ba kami naka-build ng community ng 600,000 users? Kasi they're incentivized to answer our weekly surveys. When you say incentivized, Miss Pia, every time they use our surveys, they earn points which they can use to win in our weekly raffle draws. And registered po yan with the Department of Trade and Industry. And so far, we have, I've lost count, I think almost 50,000 winners na. And before you can claim your prize, you need to send your valid ID. So from there naman, nakikita naman namin 96% na mga data dyan. Sinasabi nila tunay po yan. And now in terms of yung concerns regarding sa socioeconomic class,
mm,
when we were starting, ganun din yung mga naging concerns sa mga earlier clients namin. So what we do there in order to validate their socioeconomic class is that
mm,
we screen them. Kasi not only yung ito kasi yung mga surveys ang tawag po dyan quantitative. We also do qualitative surveys. Doon yung mga detailed screening namin. And let's say, for example, we have referenceable clients such as Bello Medical, AirAsia, na ang target po nila will be yung tinatawag po na upper class. So yung mga
mm,
qualitative studies na ginagawa po namin dyan, we screen them in detail. Interview po yan sa phone. I mentioned before in an earlier talk that we had that before mag-pandemic, we also do eyeball. So nakikita-kita din po kami ng mga katangere po namin dito. So that's our way of determining kung tama po yung nilalagay nilang details in our application and what they are in real life.
But how about for the political surveys you've done, for example, earlier this month? Paano niya yung screening sila?
They're already from our pool of screen respondents, Miss Pia. So, what we do now, hindi naman lahat kasi nakita ng mga political surveys namin. And some of them are sent through special, we call them survey codes. So, ilan-ilan lang po yung nakakuha ng mga survey codes namin. So, yung
Mm,
sinesenda namin, especially, really, the challenge will be to have the so-called A, B answer our weekly surveys. So, we
mm,
send them emails na yung mga na-screen na po namin to answer the surveys. Ang target lang naman po namin, and this is in proportion to the Philippine population, around 5 to 8% po yung A, B, C1, C2 po natin na tinatawag na
mm.
socioeconomic class. The rest are from yung tinatawag po na Class D and Class E.
Okay. And another factor with mobile phone surveys, no, is only a person with a mobile phone can answer the survey. So do you think this affects the composition of your sample? Like, are you able to capture sentiments of the poorest Filipinos who most likely don't have cell phones or even access to the internet?
Another great question, Miss Pia. So dito po, I look into the data. May data kami niyan ng business development namin in terms of the number of Filipinos with mobile phones. So around,
Mm,
that's really more than 90% of the demographic that we have now in the Philippines, Miss Pia. And then it's a really valid concern kasi baka yan may mga certain attributes sila na mahilig lang sa phone, yung may Facebook lang yung makita. Normally, ang ginagawa po namin let's talk about not only our political surveys, but other surveys that we do to our clients and partners. So normally, ang ginagawa namin, if we need to hit yung tinatawag nila na yung pinaka-lowest, I actually don't want to use that term. Let's say we want to hit the farmers in rural areas in the Philippines.
mm,
So yun po yung
mm,
kailangan namin. Wala pong mga cellphone yan, Ms. Fia.
mm,
So we've done surveys na targeted sa farmers, sa mga mangingisda. So doon pumapasok yung tinatawag namin na hybrid approach. When we say hybrid approach, we still have this mobile application. Pinupuntahan namin sila sa areas nila. It's also similar to regional surveys. Talking about political surveys now, Ms. Pia, it's also related to what we do there. So let's say we need to do a survey in a city in the north, and may
mm.
mga ibang barangays doon walang internet connection. So that's where we do hybrid approach. So doon namin nakukuha yung target demographics na ang term po dyan, class E2 if I'm not mistaken, E1, E2.
Mm. So may class E2 ba kayo dun sa political surveys nyo? Like the one na April 6?
That's 80% kasi ng voter population natin is via 80%. And then around 10 to 15% ng respondents namin E. So, hindi
Mm.
na po namin we did not specify a quota for E1 and E2. But may ang tawag po dyan namin, there should be a readable base. So that will be, I don't want to be technical, that will be the sample size or N equals at least 30 respondents sa E2. So, nakuha naman po namin yun. So,
Mm.
yung last survey namin, Ms. Pia, it's a readable base across all regions of the Philippines except ARMM. So, yun yung ginawa
Mm.
namin.
I see. Okay. So, I'm curious, no? Kasi on your website, you do have a lot of corporate clients. Like I saw Pampanga's Best, you mentioned AirAsia and many others. I'm curious that is this the first time this year or maybe for this elections, first time nyo ba sumabak sa political service and why did you decide to do this?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So, we started noong 2019. Ang reason pala why we
Mm.
started the company. So, if I can tell a backstory, Ms. Pia, to
Sure,
your
sure.
viewers. So, alam na mga katangere yan. So, I was working for more than 10 years for a lot of micro, small, medium companies in the Philippines. So, nag-isip kasi ako noon ng solution on how they can be on par with the large enterprises. So, nakita ko noon yung Miss Pia, I saw na one of the main competitive advantage ng mga large companies will be the research that they do. And sila naman, they're micro small companies. So, hindi nila kayang afford. Imagine doing a survey of 1,000 respondents, normally $20 per respondent sa mga multinational firm. So, that's 1,000 pesos. 1,000 respondents, 1,000 pesos, 1 million, hindi yung makaka-afford. So, when I asked my friends there, lagi nang sabi ko, boss, do you invest in market research? Sabi niya, Martin, pinapawisan ako, sorry, may sira aircon. So sabi na, Martin, I'd rather invest in a new store or a new equipment. So yun yung sabi nila. So now, yun yung doon na involve yung Tangere. And then we started to decide, we wanted to challenge ourselves kasi Miss Pia, if we can do regional surveys. Kasi we have clients back then that they want to do regional surveys, not only nationwide. Kasi let's say, for example, our client partner in Visayas, they don't want to know the sentiments of Filipinos in NCR. They only want, let's say, for example, to see the sentiments of Filipinos in Western Visayas, particularly these provinces in that area. So that's one way of challenging ourselves. Kung kaya ba natin? So sakto yun, 2019 siya, Miss Pia. We got incorporated 2018. So what we did there is we did, it's a survey in a city here in Metro Manila. So we did around 2,400 respondents back then. Yun lang nag-iisang trial namin for 2019. And we're really proud to say na yung lumabas sa survey per district in that city in Metro Manila, it's really close to what yung output ng 2019 elections for the city for the mayoralty elections back then. So from there inevolve na namin yung methodology namin, and now we're partnered with one of the main broadsheets here in the Philippines. So sila yung kapartner po namin, marketing arm namin in terms of releasing our survey. So that's a brief
Mm.
history.
So you're referring to Manila Bulletin, ano?
Yes.
So no, nakita ko nga sa Manila Bulletin, you were able to do surveys on the senatorial elections. And then recently nga, you also did for the presidential candidates. I think the last survey that was written about was yung Marcos and Duterte leading the presidential and VP races. So, curious ako kasi, ano rin we, few days ago, the Isko Moreno camp naman, wanted also to talk about a more recent survey, the one conducted April 6. Sinabi nila na kinonduct niya yung survey na yun para ma-measure yung sentiment ng participants after the COMELEC debate. So, could you just tell us a little bit more about that survey and why do you, if you have any insights as to why it is different from the face-to-face surveys conducted by Pulse Asia, although we all obviously recognize na iba yung time frame ng survey nyo kasi yung sa Pulse Asia was March pa eh. But the one that Isko Moreno Camp presented was April 6. So, yun, can you just walk us through that particular survey?
Salamat. Sabi nga nila, survey is a snapshot of the sentiments of people at any given time. So we did our survey, I guess 2 to 3 weeks yung pagitan namin with the one released by by one of the premier research companies in the Philippines, si Pulse Asia. Hello, sirs. So yung ginawa po namin dito, we wanted to deep dive kasi we've been doing this actually since December. Instead
Mm.
of focusing on voter preference and popularity ranking, we decided to deep dive on why are you voting for a particular candidate. So not only yung mga, let's say for that survey, we wanted to tinanong namin, of course, sino yung nanalo in the COMELEC debate interviews. But we also
Okay.
asked yung, let's say, what's the sentiment of Filipinos in terms of the Marcos family paying the 203 billion estate tax
Mm-mm.
na sinasabi yung naging issue po noon. We also asked issues about whether aatras si Senator Manny Pacquiao, yung sinabi po ni Senator Manny Pacquiao on si papakulong po si dating First Lady Imelda Marcos. We also asked those questions. Now, going back here, nakita po namin correlation in terms of the debate. So when we started doing surveys, nung nagsimula po yung mga debate, bawat after every debate, presidential interviews, we check it with kung tumataas or bumababa yung particular candidate. Yung nakita po namin ay, if I'm not mistaken, nung second week ng January, it was the record high of former Senator Bongbong Marcos at 60% in our application, in our results. And
Mm-mm.
correlated there, nakita po namin na yung hindi siya nag-attend sa first interviews debate that was shown in TV, he went down by 4 points. That's in the bump chart that we showed there, that we shared as well. So nakita namin every time na hindi siya umattend ng debate, bumababa yung ranking niya. When we did qualitative here, quick interviews na naman, there for example, Miss Pia,
Mm.
there's this one respondent na tinanong namin, bakit sino sa tingin mo yung nanalo sa debate? Ang sabi niya, ano talaga ako, I support this candidate, pero dahil hindi siya umattend sa debate, I'd rather support Mayor Isko because I know his platform. Hindi ko kasi alam yung plataforma namin ni former Senator Bongbong Marcos dito sa BARM. At least sa
Mm.
mga interviews, debate, nalalaman ko yung platforms ng mga candidates ko natin. So that's an interesting point. Also related dito, we also ask, ano ba yung mga sentiments nyo kung di po sumama si former Senator Bongbong Marcos sa mga debate? Nakita po namin, malungkot po. 1 out of 3 first choice voter preference kay former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Nalungkot sila kasi hindi po nakasama si former Senator Bongbong Marcos sa debate kasi hindi nila nalalaman ngayon yung platform niya. So in this latest survey that we did, Ms. Pia, nakita po namin the reason why si Mayor Isko went up to 24%. Before the survey that we did nung Friday, pantay sila at 20% ni VP Lenny. So nakita po namin dito, Ms. Pia, so sa mga nanood po ng debate, so that's 5 to 6 out of 10 respondents nanood po ng debate.
Mm.
Interestingly, majority sa kanila, more than 40%, 4 to 5 out of 10, pinili si Mayor Isko as the one who won the presidential interviews debate. And he's followed distantly by VP Lenny at 25%. And and very interesting, Ms. Pia, yung sa 43% na nagsabi na si Mayor Isko yung nanalo ng debate, it's driven by 33% of those are voter preference kay former Senator Bongbong Marcos. And then the
Mm.
rest, that's I think 5 to 6 out of 10 respondents naman who said that Mayor Isko won the presidential interview debate last nung Sunday na yon. Ang nagsabi naman, pinili siya as their first choice for their voter preference. So it had an effect on who they chose for as president or for that particular period. So yun yung one of the reason why we saw that Mayor's Co is at 24% and VP Lenny, she was selected at 25% ng mga nanood. And maybe just to add in more details, yung 6 to 7, bali 2/3 po na first choice, voter preference sila si former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Hindi na po sila nanood ng presidential interviews debate. I guess
Mm.
when we match it with the data on how likely are you to change your mind? When we ask the question, gaano kataas ang posibilidad na magbabago pa ang iboboto mo sa 2022? Yung 60% na yon na sinasabi ko, wala nang posibilidad magbago. So, for them,
Mm.
wala nang effect yung debate sa kanila kahit hindi po umattend si former Senator Bongbong Marcos. As you can see in the data, he's consistent at 48%. From Friday, nung ginawa namin yung initial survey namin, and then yung April 4 to 6 survey that we did.
Mm. Okay. Itong political surveys nyo, you decided on your own to do this or did anyone tell you or say maybe you should try political surveys?
Are you referring to the survey that we conducted last week or in general, Miss Pia?
Siguro both. Like, for the most recent one, on your own yung ginawa yun or may nagsabi na, uy, pwede ba naman gumawa kayo ng survey on this?
That's a great question. Yung nilalabas po namin every 2 weeks sa Manila Bulletin. So salitan siya. So we do presidential survey, vice presidential survey on week 1. Week 3 din po yun. Week 2, week 4, we do Senate survey. And once a month, we do party list survey kasi medyo madami po yung party list natin. So yun
Okay.
po, it's part of our marketing campaign, marketing partnership with Manila Bulletin. So they're really good friends of ours. So salamat po sa tiwala sa kanila. Now, when we started doing the survey we started 2020 yung mga presidential, vice presidential surveys namin, even Senate surveys. All of those are non-commissioned and it's part of our, we call them bayanihan studies. We want to see kasi in real time yung mga sentiments ng tao. Let's say, for example, Ms. Pia, not related to political surveys, we've been doing bayanihan studies since the pandemic started. Ang concept nito is we wanted to see ano ba yung effect, for example, ng pandemic sa consumer behavior, the vaccine preference nila, vaccine hesitancy, we measure those. And we even ask surveys about yung mga industries that were greatly affected by the pandemic, such as the travel industry and hospitality industry. Lahat po yun non-commissioned. Wala pong nagbayad sa amin to do those surveys. We use it to help it's a way of giving back. Kasi, Ms. Pia, when the pandemic started, madami pong companies kasi na hindi nakakuha ng mga data. Very important po sa mga companies na yon yung mga data. Unfortunately, hindi po nakakuha ng data during that time kasi hirap naman po mag face-to-face surveys. Yung mga
Pero yung
traditional research.
sorry. Yung
Yes,
April 6th survey on the debates, who
April
told
6th.
you
Yes, okay.
April 4 to 6 yung kinonduct yun?
April 4 to 6.
Kayo yung was that commission?
It's a non-commissioned surveys. All of the surveys that we've been releasing now are non-commissioned surveys. So it's part of the series of Bayanihan studies that I mentioned.
Okay. And who helps you formulate the questions for your pre-election surveys? Kayo lang yon or do you get inputs from other people?
We do social listening. Like I mentioned kanina na trending during that week will be yung 203 billion estate tax. So we did, sinama po namin yan. And of course, the debate is near. And we have a content team and a research team naman. And we are guided with the best practices that we've learned from the experience of our research directors, research team. So sinasama po namin sila doon. So to answer that, Ms. Pia, we craft our own questions based on social listening na ginagawa namin.
And tama ba yung survey niyo on the COMELEC debate performance? Nasama na rin niyo doon yung voter preference questions. Is that correct?
Yes po.
So,
That's right.
I see. And nakita ko nga yung bump chart niyo, no? And very clear in your bump chart that according to your surveys, si Bongbong Marcos is going down. And then we saw also naman that Leni Robredo was pretty much like stagnant for a while, and then medyo umakyat siya in March 31, and then went down slightly on April 6. In contrast, your line for Isko Moreno, parang paakyat siya until around February 11, then pababa until March 31, and then may onting increase nung April 6. So these are very different from the Pulse Asia surveys because in Pulse, very clear second place na si Leni Robredo, while Isko Moreno is a far third, like 8% compared to 24% of Robredo. So and I guess, does that mean, what's the takeaway here of candidates for you? Like the fact that magkaiba yung results, and also given the characteristics of your survey, like what would you say is the takeaway from your mobile phone survey that candidates should take?
That's a really interesting question, Miss Pia. We often get asked that question kasi when they do comparison here, so consistent naman yung second choice namin. So when lumalabas sa second choice namin for president, 4 to 5 out of 10 respondents ang second choice nila for presidency, Mayor Isko. And it's driven actually by voter preference ni first choice kay former Senator Bongbong Marcos. So kalahati nung pumili kay Bongbong Marcos went to Mayor Isko for their second choice. So ang take out ang nakuha po namin na insights dito in terms of the surveys. Of course, as I mentioned kanina, surveys are a snapshot of time. So this was done 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks in contrast dun sa Pulse Asia survey po namin. So, and this was done immediately after the presidential interviews debate. So nakita po namin yung effect nito. In fact, there's this one candidate, if you can see the data, the detailed breakdown, yung sa
Mhm.
Mindanao niya, he was at 13%. Then after the debate, he went down to 5%. So yun yung naging effect in real time. So I guess this is the keyword, Ms. Pia. The effect in real time nung uh, presidential debate interviews to the result of our voter preference. So, not only for our political service, ito yung gusto namin mga clients and partners namin because they know in real time na, let's say for example, one of the biggest fast food chain in the Philippines, not in the world, they want to know, babalik ka na ba sa mga restaurant, kakain ka na ba, ngayon may bakuna na. So, they don't need to wait for weeks, months before they can get their data. That's one of the main competitive advantage of using our solution is that within 1 to 2 days, alam mo na yung insights. And those insights, we're not saying that it's 100% accurate, but we always make sure na 95% yung confidence level namin. When we say that na 90, we're really confident that 95 out of 100 times, yan din yung lalabas na resulta. So that's, I guess, those are the key takeaways na nakita namin. And just to recap again, so that's the insight in real time, yung lumabas sa survey namin, 1 to 2 days after, since it's fully automated using our application from our, not only our presidential surveys, VP surveys, but all our other surveys as well.
Mhm. And the respondents dun sa political surveys, did they confirm that they're voters, or it's more of the age thing that you require? Voters ba
Uh,
sila?
it's
Or
18 to 60.
registered voters,
Yes, go
sorry.
ahead, Ms. Gwen. Sige.
I mean,
Okay.
are they registered voters or just voting age?
We have the database already of respondents na kasi we've been doing this since 2020 actually. So yung pa may mga naglagay lang kami ng mga candidates namin doon who we thought na tatakbo. So that also includes during that time. Let's say for example si Mayor Sara Duterte for president. She for 1 year she was number one in our presidential survey.
I
Now
don't know. My,
going
my
back,
question is yung respondents nyo ba for the political surveys, are they registered voters?
yes. So that's what I meant, Miss Pia. So we've been doing it for more than a year already, and then we have this database of registered voters. We asked them actually on the yung mga valid IDs nila. We asked them if registered voters sila. Some of them they showed their voter registration. Some of them sinabi na registered voters sila. So that's
Mm,
part of the screening na ginagawa din naman po namin.
I see. Okay, so mobile phone surveys, no, it's safe to say na yung surveys nyo snapshot siya, sorry, of sentiments of the people with mobile phones in a way, right? Kasi syempre hindi mo nga masasagot yung survey niyo without an app. But siguro my next question would be, you mentioned you incentivize your respondents. So according to your website and your documents, to nakakuha sila ng points every time sumagot sila ng survey, may points sila, and then ginagamit nila yung points na yun to win at a raffle that your firm conducts regularly. So question, yung the fact that you're incentivizing them, do you think that this in any way factors into the data? Like, does it skew it somehow, you think? Or wala namang effect?
We've been doing this, Miss Pia, for mag 5 years na. So, there are some hindi talaga maiwasan na gusto lang nilang manalo. So, they make multiple accounts. So, tinatanggal po kagad namin sa database. And we have algorithms naman to remove those said respondents. Ngayon po, yun naman po, nakikita naman namin consistent din yung mga sagot nila kasi don't only do political surveys, we do surveys for our commercial clients and partners. So nakikita naman po namin, consistent din na po lahat yung sagot nila. So they're not only there to win prizes. And ang maganda po kasi sa Tangere, again, salamat po sa mga nanonood na katangere ngayon, it's really the sense of community na na-build namin. Nang simula, of course, hindi mo maiwasan na prices lang talaga habol. But habang tumatagal, it really a sense of community na natutuwa nga ako when I see messages na from Tangere, nakikita nila dito yung mga current events. They natututo din sila in a way so that only getting a chance to win in our weekly raffle draws, but at the same time, they're learning. And for example, going back to our commercial clients and partners, Ms. Pia, So let's say some of our partners, binibigyan kami ng items parang that we share as part of brand media mileage, but we don't give it away on the time that we do surveys for them. Kasi we want to avoid that so-called biases. Let's say, mabigay ako ng sabon na ito yung brand, baka ito palagi yung sagot nila. Hindi naman po yung ganun ginagawa namin. So that's
Mm.
also related to what we do. Yung mga presidential surveys namin, Senate surveys namin, we don't give away items. We give away gadgets or let's say flights and trips from our key partners. Yun po yung ginagawa namin.
Mm. Okay, so the fact that they're joining or answering these surveys to win something, sa studies nyo, hindi naman nag-affect yun dun sa quality of their answer? Like, does that somehow encourage them to answer a certain way? Like, for example, yourself, are you known as a, do you support a particular candidate, and do people in your network know that? Baka naka-influence yun dun sa ano nila? I mean, can you just explain how that works? How you make sure the data is, the integrity of your data?
Thank you for that question. Kami naman, we are a non-partisan company naman sa Tangere. Of course, may mga kasama po kami sa company na may sarili silang preference po. But we are a non-partisan. So, we try to help as much people as we can in our surveys. But we will never actively promote, let's say, for example, share an ad of a
Mm.
particular candidate. Kasi we have 500,000 followers in our social media page. We will never share an ad there. So yun po yung ginagawa namin so para wala pong biases. We don't want to affect the standing there. But of course, may mga nagpapa-commission ng surveys, but it's really
Mm.
more of going deep dive. So yung mga commission surveys na yun, we don't publish it. It's for their
Mm.
own research. Let's say, ano ba yung gusto mong image ko? For example, what do you think? We do focus group discussions on their commercials. What do you think about these commercials? For them to improve. But in terms of voter preference, wala naman pong ganun. It's really doing deep dive research po talaga yung ginagawa namin. Similar to what we do to our brand partners.
Mm. The April 6 results that you have from your survey, na-publish nyo na ba yun on your site?
On our end, wala pa. We're waiting for for the go signal from our partner si Manila Bulletin. So sila palagi yung unang binibigyan po namin ng data. The reason why some of the political camps got hold of that, we reach out to them. Kasi we always offer na if you want to know the survey, we're open to giving free briefing sa inyo. When we say briefing, we tell them the results of the data. Just pure hard numbers. Let's say, breakdown mo per age group, saan gender ka mahina. We do free briefing to them. We offer that free briefing to all parties, or not only those running for president, but those who are running for vice president. So we offer to do a free briefing. So sila lang po yung nauna during that time. But we're
Mm.
scheduled to do briefings, and if there are people watching here, we're open to do briefing din po sa inyo on the results of our survey.
So for example, kasi this was not the first time that Isko Moreno's camp showed Tangere data. So tama ba, sino na-contact nyo na lang yung, let's say si Ambassador Dito Banayo, siya yung point person nyo. You just emailed him na, oy, we have a survey that says something interesting about your candidate. Ganun ba yun?
It's parang ganun po, Miss Pia. That for one, actually it's not our contact there. So may
Okay.
ano lang po, we have account managers, we have relationship managers. Some of the key founders, partners of the firm, may mga kaibigan din naman po sila in the political circle. So sila po yung nag-reach out. Let's say, hi brother Gento, brother senatorial, we just finished a senatorial survey. This is your position. Would you like to know? Would you like to get a briefing on where you stand for this particular demographic? So we reach out to everyone po na in the industry. Think of it as like it's like similar to what we do to our private clients and partners. It's part of our pre-sales cycle in the company. So that's how we introduce ourselves. Alam po naman kasi namin na we are a new player in the company. So we're just 4 years old. We're babies compared to yung mga institution po talaga sa Pilipinas. So, but we're really thankful in a way that I'm here. I'm really thankful in the interview mo, Miss Pia. Hindi ko ma-imagine to 2 years ago that I'm being interviewed in Rappler. But yun po, we do it as our pre-sales to make our names out there. And in a way, it leads to increase in trust of our company. Like for example, we also help government institutions. Kakatapos lang namin, Miss Pia, on helping the Department of Trade and Industry map the e-commerce roadmap of the country.
Mm-hmm.
as a PhilJets Platinum partner. So it's our way of building trust, reputation on our end, and hopefully madami po kami matulungan pa.
Mm. Nakapagbigay briefing ba kayo on your electoral surveys to a candidate other than Isko Moreno?
We're scheduled to do one to for another presidential candidate. So one of our account managers nagkumukuha lang siya ng schedule. So
Mm.
we do it either face to face, nagpupunta ako sa kanila, or we do it
Mm.
via Zoom. Normally 30 minutes to 60 minutes lang naman siya, Miss Pia. So it's free naman, wala nang pumawala sa kanila doon. We just show them the data after which we give them the detailed analytics. It's similar to what I sent to you, Miss Pia. So yun po yung Tableau Analytics as partner of Tableau Philippines. So we share the visualized dashboard of our survey sa mga interested parties. So I'm here if you need a copy of the link of the dashboard analytics, you can I even reach out to you, Miss Pia. So na-share, I'm really thankful din na-share niyo din siya sa website niyo. Salamat po.
Last few question na lang, Martin. Kasi
Yes po.
may mga, syempre, political camps now, they will definitely banner the survey that is favoring their candidate. Do you feel that this in any way affects, or do you agree with this practice? Are you okay with the fact na yun, ginamit or binandera yung results niyo by political camps, certain political camps? Is it fine with you?
It's we're okay with that as long as hindi ma-misinterpret yung data. I've seen blogs, for example, of na misinterpret nila yung data. Let's say yung so that's why I always want to do briefing para hindi po may misinterpret yung data. There are some followers of the other camps na when they see the data, they saw na akala nila na let's say second choice, if for example, hindi nag-back out yung one presidential candidate, akala nila that's a simulated result, but it's the breakdown of saan mapupunta yung boto niya. So that's the reason why we also offer the briefing. Kasi when we put the data out there through Manila Bulletin, some of them might misinterpret the data. And very detailed yung analytics namin. You want to see your breakdown. Like for example, si VP Lenny, after
Mhm.
all of the sorties rallies in Visayas, particularly sa Western Visayas, that's
Mhm.
the highest region na siya yung number one siya. If I'm not mistaken, 4 to 5 out of 10 respondents from Western Visayas selected her as the first choice for president. And even Central Luzon, medyo close po sila doon ni former Senator Bongbong Marcos. So the data is there. So that's why we always offer na, kasi medyo baka ma-technical, medyo, sorry to use the term, technical yung dashboard analytics namin. So really want to guide people on how to use it properly. So because the data is there and it's really beneficial for everyone involved. So just want to guide them properly on how to use the data. Yun po.
All right.
I hope I
Last
was able
question.
to answer your question, Ms. Pia.
Yes, yes. Last question na lang, Martin. Kasi, of course, we know that measuring public sentiment is so important for people, for decision makers, candidates, even voters. And we've been used to the face-to-face setup for so long, right? Every elections, meron ng comparative data, di ba? Comparing Pulse Asia's like survey from way back. Kasi it's the same methodology every year. They maintain that face-to-face methodology. And now here you come offering a mobile phone survey method to measuring this kind of sentiment, which a lot of people are interested in. So how would you defend or at least pitch a mobile phone survey, and how it can be used to measure political sentiments on the ground? Ano yung meron yung mobile phone survey na wala yung face-to-face? And on the other side of the coin, like, are there any cons that face-to-face methods might have, which a mobile phone survey would not have?
That's a really great question, Miss Pia. In terms of that's what we do best sa pitching. So kami yung nanalo sa CNN final pitch competition ng 2019. So in terms of our main competitive advantage, I mentioned earlier that you can get your data in as fast as 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 days. You can get your insights kung kailangan mo based on your research brief, based on your requirement. So alam niyo na po kagad yan. Rather than waiting for uh, 3 to 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. In fact, Miss Pia, when before the pandemic, yung mobile phone surveys na ginagawa namin sa Tangere, it was often frowned upon by, let's say for example, traditional practitioners of market research, poll research. But now, nung I guess the pandemic, it resulted people having now a new source of insights for their requirements, yung mga coming from a mobile phone surveys na lumalabas namin. We always say na yung mobile phone surveys namin, we will never use the term na it's the insights from Filipinos. We always use the term,
Mm.
especially for our ASC, Ad Standards Council accreditation, na we always use the term, this is the insights from online Filipinos.
Mm,
Yun
okay.
po. So I guess in terms of your last question kanina on ano yung difference namin in terms of ano yung kulang namin compared to the poll research companies. So it's to answer that question, yung mga wala pong internet connection, wala po silang internet, hindi po nila magamit yung Tangere app namin, Miss Pia. So the way to supplement that, what we do is we have hybrid approach. So if there are requirements na yun yung target market natin, let's say yung mga sinabi ko kanina, the farmers, fisher folks, pupuntahan namin sila. It will be a hybrid approach. We will be there on the ground. Either kung wala talagang internet doon, we will be using PAPI. We call it PAPI, pen and paper, then we code it after which. Kung okay naman yung internet, then our enumerators will be the one asking the question using the mobile app. So there are pros and cons in using our mobile application. Just to summarize what I mentioned, what I said kanina. But in terms of this, really the benefit here, aside of course of being Filipino entrepreneur friendly, yan ang Tangere kasi we want to provide the same competitive advantage to micro small companies and even yung mga politicians na they're starting out, they don't have the machinery, we can help them because yung pang innovations na nilagay namin sa app, we pass it on as savings sa kanila. And aside from that, of course, the insights that you can get, alam naman natin, Miss Pia, how fast the sentiments of Filipinos, not only Filipinos, lahat ng tao, how fast it changes, may mag-trending lang. So, getting your data 2 to 3 days is really beneficial for you to make actionable insights.
Do you agree with the assessment by certain groups, including Silito Banaya, the campaign manager, Fisco Moreno, that face-to-face surveys may weakness sila in the sense that since they're conducted by people and people can be influenced daw, yung mga pag nagtatanong sila in a house-to-house setting, possible daw na ma-influence yung the way they ask the question or basically ma-influence yung answer. Do you agree that this is the case and that mobile phone surveys have another advantage in that their technology. So, kumbaga yung nagsasagot, ano lang, phone lang kaharap niya, wala siyang ibang interaction with other humans who might affect their decision or their answer. What would you say?
That's a great statement there by Ambassador Lito. So, when you answer our surveys in our mobile application, you answer it on the comfort of your own home. So you can opt, for example, tapusin ko muna yung 5 questions, balikan ko to later. So it's walang bias here in terms of there's no sorry to use that term. I mean ikaw lang yung sumasagot sa survey natin. So we believe in of course the experience. Oh, in fact, Miss Pia, yung expertise namin galing din naman po sa mga traditional poll and market research companies namin yan. We know how highly trained their workers are. So, they don't go out there when they do face-to-face surveys. Hindi sila naka-uniform. Walang kulay yung mga uniform nila. It's really minsan plain white lang yung mga uniforms nila para po walang bias kasi baka isipin po ng mga respondents ay galing to sa company na tong kandidato na to so dapat siya yung sagutin ko. We know na they're highly trained professionals when they do their surveys.
Mhm.
But of course, there's still this element na may lalapit sa inyo, let's say, especially now, it's a pandemic, they do yung mga tinatawag sa market research, yung mga kiss grid method, iikot sila sa barangay, kakatokin nila, pipili nga sila doon kung sino yung interviewin nila in their household when they
Mhm.
already select a house na for interview. But still, there's still this element na there's someone hovering in your back when they answer the 15 to 30 minsan more than 30-minute survey if there are rider questions in those particular surveys. So there's this element of time that there also someone in your back, kahit alam mo naman na hindi siya galing doon sa for a particular camp, minsan maka-conscious ka, may matapos ko lang to. That's one of our benefit. You can answer, you can give your insights on the comfort of your own home. And then, of course, you have the chance. Bibigyan ka ni Boss Martin ng load GCash credits, phones, or mga travel certificates po namin. Thank you, Miss Pia.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Martin, for those insights. I think interesting that just the idea of having another way of capturing people's thoughts and opinions. So, thank you so much for telling us more about Tangere and how you do that. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm P. Renada, and see you next time.
Salamat po. Thank you, Miss Pia, for this opportunity.